that we wanted to find a far more human story, and really focusing on the relationship between Moses and Ramesses, two men who grew up as brothers, who grew up as princes in this incredible Egyptian empire, and who Ramses came to be the pharaoh who is considered to be a god, and Moses grew up being second only to a god. You know, limitless power, all of the temptations of every man who's ever lived, all of the indulgences of that and the experiences of that, who then comes to find himself exiled, where then he has an experience which he considers to be a calling, where he believes his place is as leader of a revolution in let my people go, in freeing slaves who were essentially being used, slave labor as a form of genocide, just kind of chucking them at these monuments, and who cares if they die, in freeing them and in returning to the land of their ancestors. I mean, I can only sort of guess at that. I really can't give a proper answer. But I mean, I do think, for me, when I first spoke with Ridley about it, I said, why? Why make this film? You know, I've seen the Ten Commandments. Isn't that enough? You know, why do we need to? What else can we do? That was before I discovered that there's a wealth more that can be delved into. So I really loved it when we got to Spain and the sets were outdoors, and you get the wind blowing through, you get inconveniences, you get things that weren't meant to happen, and that's what I feel much more comfortable with. But just the grandiose sets, incredible. There was about a kilometre-long set, which ended with the city of Ramesses, and then incorporated the ghetto, these enormous statues, and they're fantastic and equally wonderful and intimidating at the same time, because you're going down to this place and looking at the work that everybody's put in and thinking, oh man, and now they're all going to be looking at me, expecting me to do something hopefully good, and you just hope you can pull it off. It is, these high mountains going directly down with a small bit of beach, but that beach runs for maybe 10 miles down to this very tumultuous sea with really strong currents. It was this prehistoric looking place, looked absolutely untouched. Stunning views. I had no idea that was there in the Canary Islands, but one of the most stunning locations that I've ever been to. Then I set about reading the Torah, which took a little while, but it, like I said, really fascinating. I was really fascinated by it. There's a series of books called Legends of the Jews. There's a book called Moses A Life by Jonathan Kirsch, which I found to be really helpful in looking at him as a all too human man, and then conversations with various religious people and their takes and their thoughts, and also witnessing how each and every person has their own personal idea of who Moses should be. And each person, they would talk with me, and there was no question that I had to play it the way that they saw it. And so understanding, right, it doesn't matter what I do, I can't be everybody's image. And so we have to free ourselves up and give our own interpretation, which was always what, Steve, Zalian and Ridley. Joel Edgerton, who's a fantastic actor. He brings just total commitment, and I felt like he had the hardest part in the film, and he just owned it from day one. I was very impressed with him, and really manages to capture all of the arrogance of someone with limitless power, but all of the insecurities and absolute trivial nature of somebody who desperately wants to hold on to their leadership. John Turturro, again, wonderful actor. Really admired him in so many roles, and him in bringing a real humanity and wisdom. Knowledge of someone who's had this power for so long that actually it's become something of a burden to him, and someone who finds that he actually admires and has a closer relationship, not with his son, but with Moses, and so wishes that Moses could actually take his place, but knows that's not going to happen, and is kind of leaving his empire in a way that he's not very satisfied with, in knowing that Ramses will take over. Joshua Aaron Paul, who obviously comes to be the leader after Moses dies, starts off as a young man being whipped and beaten, but apparently smiling through that, it's like craziness. And comes to be the sort of general when Moses gets older of his armies, so we see a young Joshua in this one, and I had a lot of fun working with Aaron. Tuya Sigourney Weaver, who just really dislikes Moses because he represents the only competition to her son. So she's the ultimate sort of black widow, really, in it, who wants to encourage Ramesses not just to exile Moses, but to kill him. And someone who is the sort of nightmare mother. But that even great men have nightmare mothers who they feel that they have to please, and he feels very much stress and pressure from him to behave the way that she thinks is correct. Ben Kingsley, he's fantastic. Ben Kingsley, isn't he? And he really wonderful company and a man, and. Absolutely perfect for playing that character, and very knowledgeable about it. He'd actually played Moses himself before, enjoyed working with him immensely, standing on the these sort of ridiculous, sort of prehistoric looking beaches in the Canary Islands, and he's a good gentleman.
Hey, what's up everyone? Lisa here. Now we know that his name is Bond, James Bond, and that he prefers his martinis shaken, not stirred. But did you know Sean Connery wore a wig in every single one of his Bond performances? And from Dr. No to Quantum Solace, James has killed 352 people and slept with 52 women. Obviously. And stuntman Bill Cumming was paid a $450 bonus to jump into Largo's shark-infested pool in Thunderball. And that's all I've got for you today. Subscribe to keep up to date, and I'll see you next time.